Hi there, it's Kelly, your tech savvy business mentor here. And this week I am talking with Lorina Nilsson all about why she loves Notion. So stick around. Okay, Lorina. So I am so excited. I know I say that at the beginning of every single one of these, but I almost would say I'm extra excited to talk to you today because you are introducing me or have been introducing me to a kind of a new tool. It was one I had heard about, but I had never even considered going into it because in my mind, it was just, oh, it's a replacement for Trello. And I love Trello. So why would I even look at that? Right. But our conversations about this tool, Notion, so I might as well just say what it is right now, is showing me that not only do they have very different purposes, I mean, they're similar, but different purposes, they can also work together, which I'm so excited to talk to you about later because, oh, I've been playing and it's really fun. But anyways, before we get into all of that, can you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and I know you have multiple businesses, which we will link to all of them in the description, but let's focus here mostly on the business that we're going to like feature in this conversation so that we don't get too, because we could talk about all the businesses we all have, right?
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur I feel like since high school, so it's been like 20 years now. So I've been playing with different businesses. I've also been in marketing for that whole time. And I have marketing agencies, and I've been a freelancer and worked for agencies and for companies pretty much the whole time. And then recently, me and my husband launched our own business. It's a clothing line / resources for Christian people. And it's for men and women. My original business was actually just for women. So I introduced one that I could do with my husband. And it's called Rejoice and Do Good. And it's from Ecclesiastes 3:12. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about Notion today. I think it's a tool that I accidentally discovered. I actually only started using it because there was a competition on winning a laptop if you create a template. Because I had my own favorite tool before Notion as well. But yeah, I fell in love with it, and I would love to share all about it because I think it's so cool and useful for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. So just for people who don't know, because Notion is pretty new and is not, if you're not really into that like tech world, you may not even know what it is. So it's at its core a project management tool, just like Asana, Trello, all of those tools. But from just the tiny bit of experience I've had in it myself lately, it is so much more. I mean, it's literally a blank canvas that can become an extension of your brain if you wanted to. So it's very exciting. So why don't you tell us a little bit about like your favorite ways of using it? And I know you're going to show us a little bit too, so that we can kind of get a visual and see what it's about. So why don't you tell us some of your favorite ways to use it?
I think you described it so well, by the way. I feel like I've tried describing it so many times. It is really a blank slate where you could do anything you want with it. I mean, I think we planned our wedding on it as well. But for my business, I would love to show just a couple, let's say like 3 projects, just to kind of give you guys an idea of how to use it. So the first one is kind of our business dashboard. So this is where like a whole team manages our to-do list, manages our content and marketing calendar. We have folders of everything we need. So instead of having these folders on Dropbox or having them on your computer, like we were able to put them all here digitally, and I could share any of these folders with my team, or like, for example, logins I can keep private with just me and my husband. And it also allows you to have a place to do research, and instead of using something like Google, I would say like the Google Word templates to write your research, you can easily do that in here as well. So yeah, it has calendars and it has all of our goals. Pretty much takes your brain and puts it all on one page, which is so useful if you're working on something with multiple people. Because I could stay there and try to tell my husband everything. He's not going to remember after I get passionate. So I could go on and talk for like hours on something and then he won't remember it. So I like to like kind of organize it all on here. So that's kind of like our business dashboard that we organize it on. Yeah, you can pretty much customize all of this. The second way that I've been using it lately is we are actually challenging ourselves to open a coffee shop in 365 days. It's going to be crazy. We have like no funds, no idea how to do it. But you know what? If I'd rather try and fail than not try at all.
That's right.
So for that one, we just kind of have a list of to-do items on here, and each of these lists has the information inside it. So the first one was write a goal, mission, and name plan. So we were able to do that in there. And then you just go down the line and everything, like every task in itself, all the information for the task is organized within this section. So that's been
that.
really cool. And then the last one, which actually ended up being a product that we created, is a faith dashboard. So we're Christian and I've always loved being organized, and I've had like a million notebooks. I love buying notebooks. Do you ever buy like
Oh, if you could
planners?
see my space right now, I might have a small problem. Yes, I do have plenty of planners.
Yeah, I've always had a million planners, which honestly I get through like January, February, and then it's like empty. And then I use it for
Yep.
notes. Or I'll have like really all these pretty notebooks. And then I started taking notes in them for like Bible studies or sermons and that stuff. But it always gets lost. It gets out of order. And if I'm trying to find like a sermon or something that I've studied, I have no idea how to find it.
Yes,
So
that is the like number one reason when people talk to me about, oh, but I need my pen and paper. I'm like, but you can't, like, there's no global search for your notebooks. Okay.
yeah, exactly,
So if you don't know exactly where things are, you're never going to find it again. It's just,
right.
I so love that you said that, because that's 100% true.
So I've been like racking my brain on how do I do it. And it's so funny because I mean, we're talking about tools. The first version of it, well, the first version, oh man, the first version was, I'm just going to stop sharing for a second. The first version of it was on paper, but you know how I made it? And all my design friends that were like making fun of me, I did it in Photoshop. So I designed a whole book in Photoshop, like each one typed out Genesis 1, Genesis 2, like
Oh,
everything.
man.
It was a mess. And then I printed it, and then I was like, oh, cool, maybe like other people can use this. And then I took it to the printer, and it was like $400 to print it in color. And I was like, oh, this is not going to work. So the second version, also shake your head, was a Google spreadsheet version. And yeah, that was pretty rough because you know, on Google spreadsheet, you can't really scroll. It like jumps from page to page.
Right.
So
And they're not pretty. I mean, there's a reason that we buy pretty notebooks, guys. I hate to say it, like, I don't want to be all girly about it, but like, we like things that are pretty. We will use things that are pretty. That's why it has to be aesthetically pleasing. It just does.
Yeah. Which is why, like, I feel like my dashboards look like the old MySpace pages.
Yes.
Remember those?
Yes.
So the third option is when I figured out Notion. I was like, oh, I finally clicked and I finally made like an actual product to sell because I finally felt like it was pretty enough. You could see like it's so pretty and you can like change your photos and your covers. So I finally got,
you know, since you're talking about that, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. So on the covers, I have noticed that when I see your boards with your covers, they always look like they are sized correctly. And I have done the searches for the dimensions for the covers, and they're not right. Like, what people are telling you to use are not right. So can I just ask, like, what is the dimension of the image that you make? I mean, I get here, this is like a collage and all that, but like, what would you say is the dimension of what's visible here?
You're not going to like my answer. There is no dimension. You know why?
See, because that's so frustrating.
It's because, and I mean, I tried to make them just long in general. I mean, this is, if you look at, oops, I'm going to just reposition it. If you look at this is like a full picture, right?
Right.
The reason is, which is a good reason, is because Notion is good for, it goes like, if you resize the screen, it resizes the image, right? So
it's responsive. Yeah,
it's responsive. So it's good for your Mac. It's good for your laptop. If you have your iPad and even your phone, there's a phone app. So all of it it just resizes to fit correctly, which is kind of cool because I feel like a lot of other apps, when they create the mobile version, it's not very pretty, doesn't match,
Oh,
glitchy or stuff. The
totally.
Notion did such a good job. They have a desktop app and a phone app.
Yeah,
So
and I noticed on the phone, because of course I have the phone app, because anybody who's watched any of these episodes knows that I'm all about being able to take it with me. The widgets, okay, they clearly thought about mobile users when they set all of this up, not just for what you're saying, which is true, but also the way that their widgets work. So first off, their widgets, like it'll bring in your cover so that it's not just like a little square, like you can literally see it exactly the way. So it's easily recognizable to you as you're looking through your widgets. But even more important than that is they let you stack their widgets. Do you know this?
yeah.
That is like amazing. It's like you can make yourself a little like folder of like a specific stacking of the, it's so exciting because even though first off, Trello doesn't really have good widgets like this, like you can make a shortcut to your board, but it's not a widget per se, right? It's different. It interacts differently. And if you try to stack them on each other, it just makes like a folder on your phone. It doesn't actually like create like a scrolling stack of which this does. And when I discovered that, it was like, it's such an exciting moment. I'm such a dork, but it was like such a moment of like, oh my gosh, you mean I can? It was very exciting.
Yeah.
It's the little things.
I was surprised when I saw, because I mean, I have a baby now, so I can't be on my computer working so many times. So I'm
No,
like in the middle of the night, nap trapped, which is amazing. I love it. And I'm
love it.
working, on my phone, and everything's like so easy to use. It's honestly easy to find all your folders, all your pages. But yeah, like you said, I think all the tools are very accessible.
Yes. Yes. Well, and sometimes you need, even if you're not like trying to work, let's say you have a list of things that you need to buy or need to whatever, and you're out in the world, you're like, wait, what was the size I needed for that thing? To be able to just quickly and easily grab it, which I realize there are other ways to do that. There's, most phones have notes apps, or you could use a calendar app or whatever, but it's all about simplicity, right? Let's stay in one tool as much as possible so that we don't constantly have to grab things from different places. So I really appreciate that. Not only is the visual responsive, which is huge, but that they really thought about the user experience, no matter what kind of device you're on. So I feel like that's so lacking in these tools these days. They focus on one and they get that really, really well. And then the others are like, it's okay. You know what I mean? And that's just like, we're all very on the go. We need to be able to work in lots of places, and they get that. And that's really cool.
And on that note, they really care about like their user base. So they love to hear feedback. And if someone like requests something, they try to do it. So if you look at
cool.
their LinkedIn profile, they always have like GIF posts with tutorials. So they show you how to use things. And then you can also comment, say, I want to do this or this. And they're like, oh, we'll talk to our team. It's like a team of young people. I think they're in San Francisco. It's like a team of like young people in their office, just like having fun making this tool. So yeah,
that's
I think that's good.
If it weren't for my own business and everything, that sounds like a dream job to just be. I just love that.
I've thought about it.
Do you know if they have? I mean, obviously they let you kind of interact with them, engage wherever they're posting, but do they have like a suggestion box link or something that we could put in the description for people? Do you know?
I bet they do on their website, but I'm not sure. I know they have all sorts of forums too and community like groups and stuff. Yeah,
I haven't even gotten into all of that yet. I have, we all have our priorities when it comes to our tech, right? And so first thing I did was like create something fun that I could just like get a feel for how it works and like setting it all up and all of that. So first thing I did was my reading list, because I'm reading so much right now with just for the mastermind and the podcast and everything, keeping notes on everything. That was my first thing. But then I started doing social media calendars, and I didn't even get a chance to tell you this yet. But because I still want to be using Trello for the planning of my content right now, because of the automation that it has, that I know Notion has some automation, but it's very different in how you build it out. And I'm not even yet convinced that it has some of the same functionality, right? So I like how the visual, and I like being able to look at the content better in Notion. Don't tell Trello. But I mean, because Trello is just, it's a very, because I pay, I do the free one. I don't pay for all the different views. It's not as like big picture to look at it. I have to scroll through a whole list to see everything. And I'm really enjoying the way Notion does it. But I just yesterday set up my first Zaps. Okay, so if people don't know what Zaps are, it's basically Zapier is a third-party tool that lets you make one tool talk to another tool. Whether if it doesn't have a native connection, it's basically a, hey, when this happens here, do this over here. And I've just set it up now that when I complete my planning process in Trello, it automatically creates the row with all of the information on my Notion calendar. And it was like the most exciting thing in the world to see that happen. So I can't wait to see even more ways that I can go back and forth with things and, just keep leveraging the tools for what they're best at. And as Notion continues to grow and get better and more complete and more robust, then maybe I'll eventually switch all the way over. I don't know, but we'll see.
I haven't used Trello enough to know kind of, because then I would be able to say like what Notion has or hasn't based on Trello. But I just tried, and if you can enter a new thing that it says embed Trello. So you can even embed Trello natively without using Zapier straight in here.
You can, but it's different because trust me, that was the first thing I did. So I embedded Trello, but what it did was like basically create a widget shortcut to a Trello board. Right? Which has its purpose. Don't get me wrong. If you wanted to use Notion as your dashboard and then have access to all your Trello boards, yeah, you could totally do that. But I wanted it to be like, hey, when I move, like in particular, when I move my email newsletter that I've just written into the, like scheduled list, I wanted it to automatically create it on my calendar over in Notion and have all the information and all that kind of stuff. And so that's something I had to use Zapier for, to say, when I do this, then do that. And it was actually really easy. And to be honest, I don't even pay for Zapier yet. I'm still in the free version of that. So none of this is requiring premium access to anything. It's all completely free, completely accessible. So stay tuned for probably a tutorial on how to do that, because I'm sure I will be doing tutorials on that in the future. Okay, so are there any last things? I'm really, really excited. Like, it's so inspiring to me to see how other people are using things. Even though I've seen some of your boards before, just now, because I've been in them, I've been in Notion more, and I saw some of your stuff again, it inspired me again. Like, wait a minute, I can like embed like a Spotify playlist? Like, what? That didn't even dawn on me as something that I could do, which I think is huge, because music is a big part of my creative flow. So if I'm in there and I'm writing and I can just play the music from, I mean, come on, guys, this is so smart. I love this. I love all of this. But is there anything that you would really want to say, like, just make sure to bring to our attention about why you love Notion so much for what you're doing before we're done for the day?
Yeah, I think pretty much what you said, the fact that you can do all these things, you can really make it look like a completely different tool. So it's so much fun to go look on Pinterest for templates, or there's all over the web. People are selling them on Etsy, actually. They're sharing like free ones everywhere. In fact, it'd be really fun if you did a series on like, show me your template, how you're using it. And because every single person will use it differently. So I think
true.
That's my favorite thing, that you can pretty much do anything. And I think as you start using it and you start learning about its capabilities, that's how you can start seeing, like you said, you're like, oh my gosh, I could actually do this and this. And it like turns into art almost, because you're like, if you're like a creative mind, also analytical mind, this is like the perfect tool for you.
Yes.
What was I gonna say? Oh, and as you mentioned, the cost. So it's free to try. And it's not like a trial where people get 7 days. You can actually have a free Notion plan until you use, like, let's say you just upload a lot of content. That's when you have to upgrade. Or you have a team and you want to bring a team on. That's when you have to upgrade. So I suggest everybody just go try it. And I know it's going to be daunting at first. Like, you're going to be like, where do I do whatever? Like, but as you get the hang of it, it'll be so much fun. So I challenge everyone to just try it this week.
I agree. That is always my thing. Like, test drive it They all have free versions or free trials or something for a reason, because you can't know what's going to work for you and what's going to feel right for you if you never play in it. Watching other people's videos only gets you so far. You have to point and click yourself, right? It's really, really important. So we'll make sure we're going to have a bunch of links in the description this time, because we're going to link to all of Lorina's businesses, regardless of if she mentioned them or not. We're going to have a link. I believe you said we're going to put a link to your Notion template that you sell. So for anybody who wants to take a look at that, that is for the Bible study, and that's the faith dashboard, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll have that in there. I'm going to put a link just to Notion in general. So if people want to sign up and try it out, they can do that. Yeah, we're just going to have lots of links. So make sure you're in the description, clicking away and checking out all those things. I also am going to I'm going to do it right here because I'm saying it right now. I'm going to put a link to, there's a video on Lorina's channel that I watched the other day where she is talking about their challenge to start a coffee shop in 365 days. And I want you guys to see a little bit about that and get excited with them about it, because I think it's such a cool idea, but also so cool that they're taking us along for the ride, because starting a business it's a big journey, right? It's a lot. And having that accountability for yourself, but then also just letting people have that kind of ownership as they watch you as you go along this journey. They're going to feel like they're part of it in a way. And I think that's really cool. So we're going to link that up above so that people can go check that out as well. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today and talking Notion. I could talk with you about this for way too long. But yeah, we'll have to check in about it soon when I get a little bit more into it and see. I'm sure I'll have more questions for you.
Oh yeah, I'm totally down for part 2, 3, 4.
Yes, absolutely. Forever. And if you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. The online tools for your business do not need to be complicated or overwhelming. It's time to let it be easy.